During a storm, with zombies lurking outside, in a dilapidated building is a man tied down, looking nervously at a woman who asks him for his name. She snaps her whip, making the man nervous. She then questions him why he had broken into their base. Frustrated, the man states, like many times before, that his name is Song Chao and that he was only passing by. The woman doesn't believe him, saying that monsters are roaming around, and yet he was carrying 2 pails of tomatoes. The woman asks if Song Chao injected them with anesthetic, making the girl behind her spit the tomato she'd been eating. The coughing girl, whose name is Shen Jiamei, attests that there were no pharmaceutical ingredients in the tomatoes, making her older sister, Jiao, frown. Chao asks the 2 sisters to let him go, but Jiao only snaps her whip, calling him knave for falling into their hands and attempting to trick them, making him nervous. She tells him that his pretty face won't save him, before demanding that he tell the truth regarding the tomatoes and if there are more of them. Pulling his shirt and straddling him, she threatens to beat him up. Chao yells that he really wasn't sent by anyone. She lets go of him, and he falls back, groaning in pain. He tells them that he came from another base and wants to trade with them. He offers them more tomatoes as long as they help him. Jiao is shocked to know that he has more of them, and she asks him what he wants in exchange, and if he is a slave trader. The 2 silently look at each other, before Shen asks if there's anything else to eat. When she yells that she wants greens and eggs, her sister tells her to calm down, reminding her that since the chickens mutated, their eggs became inedible. Shocked at hearing about the food scarcity, Chao thinks that those are food items he can easily provide. He thinks it's hopeless in this world. While Chao stretches his wrists, he asks them what goods they'll give him in exchange for food. He muses that since he has ill parents and a sister to take care of, he might as well make a profit. Jiao reveals that they have 6 energy modules and a dozen laser pulse guns. If he wants a slave, he can purchase several beautiful women. Surprised, he asks her if that's really the truth, excited that eggs and tomatoes can be exchanged for women. Jiao gets angry, convinced that he must be involved with slave traders. Chao quickly denies it, telling them that he actually wants to exchange food for jewelry, diamonds, and gold. Jiao is surprised, asking him why he would need those when they've been worthless for a long time. She suddenly asks him who he really is, and he answers nervously, saying that since their food is abundant, they gift pretty items to their women. He tells them that since they need food and Chao needs precious metals, they should trade. Jiao asks how their trade will go down, wondering if he can provide tomatoes regularly amidst all the radiation. He replies that he can provide them with food every few days as long as they can accommodate him. Jiao tells him that they don't provide special services. Knowing that the sisters are strong, he explains that he wants them to ensure his safety. The sisters become silent before agreeing, but they want to be clear about the prices. Jiao states that they'll exchange a tomato for 10 kilograms of gold or other items of similar value. Song Chao agrees, saying that to start their partnership, he'll give them the tomatoes. Jiao bites the tomato, eating it in ecstasy. And utterly pleased, Jiao gushes over the delicious, clean-tasting tomato. Chao states that since negotiations are finished, he would like to leave. However, Jiao slams the wall behind him with her hand, making him nervous. She tells him that leaving the factory is not an option, as there are still some mutant beasts around the area. If he still wishes to leave and meet his demise, they've warned him. Chao interrupts her, nervously asking if he can go find a restroom. She relents, letting him go before continuing to eat tomatoes with her sister. After looking back, he leaves, muttering in relief that he escaped. He glances at the glowing ring on his finger, thinking it was the cause of his dimension hopping earlier. Initially, he thought that it was nothing special since he only got it from a stall. Curious, he turns the ring when it suddenly starts to glow. Strong air sucks him into the gold band and his surroundings completely change into a swirling of blue and purple lightning in colors. Eventually, it all stops, and he arrives at a place with vast green fields, near a small house with an oriental-styled roof and lanterns. Chao thinks to himself that he has come back. While looking at the ring, he remembers the words of an old man who says that he has a bright future ahead of him. He sold him the heavenly ring at a discounted price of 199 yuan. Chao wonders who that old man is. Next thing he knows, the old man got chased away by the police. Chao thinks he needs to find him and ask him some questions. Deep in his thoughts, he passed by an older woman named Aunt Zhang, who calls out his name. Angrily, she asks him when he'll pay the debt that his family owes her. As he doesn't answer immediately, she goes into a rant that her son is going to college and will need the money soon. Chao is apologetic, asking her to give him a few more days to pay her back. He muses that because his father has lung disease and his mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage, he borrowed a lot of money for their treatments. If he does get the gold, all his problems will be solved. As Aunt Zhang continues to berate him, to placate her, Chao promises to pay the 10,000 yuan he borrowed within 3 days plus an extra interest of 1,000 yuan. The woman doesn't believe him anymore, calling everyone in his family losers. When she states that it's better for his parents to be dead, Chao's eyes become red with anger. He punches the wall in front of Aunt Zhang, scaring her. He threatens that if she continues to say one more bad word about his family, he'll kill her. In his frustration, he states that he'll pay the money he owes her tomorrow with interest and demands that she immediately leave. Scared and annoyed, Aunt Zhang threatens that if he's lying, she'll find someone to make him pay before finally leaving. Chao is determined to take the opportunity to give his family a better life. The next day, outside the market, Song Chao prepares the goods he's going to bring with him. After turning the ring on his finger, he once again gets transported. Upon his return, Chao thinks the place hasn't changed. When he turns his head, he's held at gunpoint by an angry Jiao, who welcomes him back. Annoyed, she asks him what took him so long to return. Remembering what happened yesterday, she asks him how he suddenly disappeared. Chow attempts to calm her down by telling her that he just went back to get some food. He turns around to show them what he brought, but they're already snatched away by Shen, who's already drooling over the vegetables and eggs. Though Jiao is excited as well, she tries to be calm before demanding Chow to cook for them, to which he happily agrees. Later, the sisters quickly wolf down the food Chow prepared for them. Jiao asks him if he's hiding food nearby since there's nothing but zombies and mutated beasts within the 10-kilometer radius of their base. Chow only replies that she shouldn't worry about it as he always takes enough food with him. Since they finish their dinner, he asks them if there are vaults nearby. Jiao tells him no, as they're in the western suburbs of Linjin City. Even if there's one, they can't open it since they don't have the right equipment. Chow is furious and called Jiao a fraud. He reminds her that she said she'd trade 10 kilograms of gold for 1 tomato, which makes her comment that he has a good memory. She smiles at him, saying that there might be no vault nearby but there are villas, where Chow's gold is. After stretching her hands, she instructs Shen to stay and watch the base, and if there are any intruders, she can kill them. Chow is concerned that Shen isn't coming, and if Jiao can handle zombies alone. She reassures him that they've swept the area for mutants already. She tells him that whatever he finds at the villas, he can take them all. Chow, who's just an ordinary guy who also traveled to the future, is now panicking a little bit. A few minutes earlier, Jiao tosses him something that looks like a toy. When he asks her what it is for, Jiao is concerned that he doesn't know how to use it. Chow replies that he isn't a fighter and has never seen the monsters before. Sighing, she explains that the item she gave Chow is a multifunctional soldier watch, and it can not only locate his position, but can also detect ambient radiation and contact his teammates. After she suits up her gear, she grabs Chow by the collar and pulls him towards what looked like a motorcycle, telling him that he can study the watch while she's driving. Upon a closer look, Chow is surprised to discover that it has no wheels. Jiao notices his surprise and asks if he's really from their world since he doesn't know what an all-terrain maglet is. She stares at Chow, who awkwardly looks away and assures her that he is indeed from their world. However, Jiao is still suspicious. She tells him to hold on before driving away. Chow, who's startled by the ride, hugs her waist from behind, surprising her. Seeing that he's terrified, she lets him continue to hug her, though she threatens him that she'll chop his hands off if they ever stray somewhere else. During the ride, Chow notices that the area is so quiet and asks Jiao why. She tells him that, as she said before, they've already swept the area many times and there was nothing much left besides zombies and mutated beasts. As they've killed so many, it's only natural that it'll become quiet. Suddenly, a mutated rat appears, and Chow shouts at Jiao to watch out. She reacts fast, pulling her gun and shooting the rat. She reassures him that it's just a rat, and there's no need to make a big deal out of it. Chow asks Jiao if she's selling the gun and how much food is it worth. She tells him that laser guns are worthless, but if he wants, he can get them for an egg at the Lianjiang base. Chow, who's surprised at her revelation, thinks that one should be armed to the teeth in this dangerous world. Upon arriving at a subdivision of villas, Jiao leads the way, readying her weapons. She instructs him to stay close to her, as it's been a while since she's been in the area, which might turn out to be problematic. When they enter the villa, Chow is in awe of the huge place, even though there's a lot of blood. He sees the sofa in the living room and thinks that it's probably worth a lot of money. Jiao, who's heading up the stairs, tells him to hurry as they have to return before dark. She leads the way to the master bedroom, where all the valuable stuff is usually kept. Surveying the room, Chow comments that there isn't much inside. Jiao, who's staring at a big mirror, notices something. She kicks it, surprising Chow, and reveals a giant safe. He asks her how she knew that there was a secret door behind the mirror, and she explains that her house used to be more luxurious than the villa they're in. She then shoots the lock of the vault door, and a moment later, it opens. Chow sees a big gold boat and thinks to himself that, this time, he's rich. Jiao tells him that if there's anything he wants, he should pack it up before they go to the next villa. Chow, who's drooling at the gold boat, notices a gold ring with a green gem on it. He takes it, thinking that it must be valuable as it was carefully hidden. He puts it away, grabs the golden boat, and tells Jiao that he's ready to leave before realizing that something is up. He nervously asks her what is going on, but she only shushes him, saying she heard something. While Chow is getting nervous, Jiao exits the vault and heads toward the room window. She uses the gadget on her wrist and becomes wary of the people outside. Chow asks her what's happening and if they're her friends. She reveals they're not, as the people outside are bullies from the southern suburbs, who've been trying to sell her and Shen as slaves. Currently, they're being attacked by a swarm of mutated giant hornets. Jiao smirks, saying that the men outside deserve their fate. Chow, who's curious, uses the gadget on his wrist and studies the mutated hornet displayed on the screen. She muses that if they attack the slave traders now while they're being distracted by hornets, they might be able to get rid of them once and for all. Deciding quickly, she tells Chow that they'll jump out of the window. Jiao goes first, followed by Cheo, who fumbled his landing, feeling a bit of pain. Jiao comments that he is in terrible shape and asks if he hasn't been injected with genetic enhancers. Running after her, Cheo asks if he can buy those enhancers, and she replies that it costs around 30 eggs for one of them. She tells him to stop talking and focus on running instead, but suddenly the people who were fighting off the hornets shoot toward their direction, demanding that Jiao help them. She shoots back at them, vehemently declining their demand. She passes a gun to Chow and tells him to help her shoot at them. Chow freezes and thinks to himself about what he should do. As they continue to take cover, Jiao urges Chow to hold the gun and help her shoot. Bravely, he takes the gun before admitting that he doesn't know how to use it. Jiao looks at him in surprise before clicking her tongue. She states that it was bad luck for her to accept the job. She uses the gadget on her wrist, and she catches the 2 items that appeared. Chow asks her what the items are for, and she replies that they're a flashbang and a smoke grenade. She throws it in the direction of the men and reminds Chow to bring food for reimbursement. After both the grenade and the flashbang explode, Jiao shouts at Chow to run. One of the men, who's suffering from the effects of the flashbang, shoots aimlessly toward their direction, hitting Jiao's already weak shield barrier. It shatters, causing the bullet to change trajectory and hit her shoulder instead. Chow is horrified and yells Jiao's name worriedly. She flinches due to the sudden pain, glancing back at him, who's now shooting back. He asks her if she's okay, and she replies to stop worrying about her and just focus on running. Though the giant hornets continue to shoot at the South suburban people, some also pursue Jiao and Chow from above. She shoots at them, before jumping and calls for the maglev to come. Riding it, she immediately extends her hand, yelling for Chow to grab it, which he does. One of Jiao's bullies yells for her to come back, but she ignores him and continues to ride the maglev with Chow behind her. Back at their base, Shen is upset that her sister got wounded back at the villas. Chow apologizes and explains that he has never been in a situation like that before. While Jiao gets bandaged up, he promises not to hold back again next time. The older Shen tells Chow to practice shooting first, because she can't count on his fighting ability. Meanwhile, Shen treats her sister's arm with an injection that immediately heals the wound. Chow is stunned to see that there's no trace of the gunshot wound left. He wonders if this world's medicine can heal his parents' illness. He thinks of preparing more food to exchange for the medicine as soon as possible. Chow bids the sisters farewell, telling them that he has something to do and will see them next time soon. Jiao warns him that he might encounter those men from earlier if he leaves now, but he insists that he can't stay and has to go back. She lets him go and he assures them that he'll come back to bring delicious food as compensation. Chow walks further away from the sisters, looks around, and turns the ring on his finger. He disappears just as Shen peeks from the other side of a wall, looking for him. Meanwhile, Jiao clicks her tongue and curses the southern men as her armor is destroyed, rendering it useless. Through her earpiece, Shen informs her sister that Cheo has completely disappeared once again. After Jaev tells her sister to come back, she mutters to herself that it's interesting that Cheo has it in him and wonders what she should do next. Back in his world, Cheo is excited while looking at his golden boat. With it, it'll improve his and his family's lives. Immediately, he starts looking for a buyer for the golden boat. He enters an establishment, looking around pensively. As he'd been there for a while, the sales lady offers to help him. He then asks her if they buy gold pieces, which she confirms, but first he must show them a receipt. Hearing this, he leaves the establishment to look for another place to sell. He's determined to sell the gold no matter what. He tries to sell to 3 other places, but one after the other, they all refuse him. Frustrated and dismayed, Chao sits on a bench and thinks that it hadn't occurred to him to have gold and not be able to sell it. Suddenly, a man approaches him, asking how many pieces of gold he's selling. When Chao looks up hopefully, the older man suggests that they come to his shop so that he can show him what he's selling. Later, at the man's shop, Chao is invited in warmly. The stranger welcomes him to the no questions asked, come and go antique shop, and introduces himself as Fu Yuan, the store manager. He asks to be shown the gold Chao is selling, which the younger man then agrees to. Chao tells him that it's in perfect condition and a total work of art. Fu Yuan is amazed, saying the workmanship is good. He tells Chao that he's a fair businessman who follows the general price of gold and art. While he states that he wants to foster good relations with Chao, the latter is distracted as, according to his phone, he just received 740,000 yuan. Chao thinks he's rich, his face finally breaking into a happy smile.